America editor Kaylee McGhee White. Kaylee, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Merry Christmas to you. So here's what I find fascinating about these poll numbers. You got to recall that Donald Trump, who was at 45% at this point in the election, had the fake Russia collusion and impeachment. I mean, the whole country seemed to be against him. Joe Biden's getting propped up by the media and is still at 39%. If he doesn't change policy course, can he actually regain his footing and win re-election?
That remains to be seen. Some polls have him as low as 33%, Sean, and that's a really dramatic drop from even the past couple of months. And now keep in mind, no incumbent seeking re-election to the White House has ever won when their polls drop below 40%. Biden is below 40%, regardless of what he's saying right now, and he cites 8 polls that show him beating Trump. Where are those 8 polls? Because even the liberal outlets like the New York Times, CNN, NBC show him trailing Trump in key swing states. But I think it's important to make clear here that Biden has not hit rock bottom yet. If you think back to the 2020 campaign, the only reason that he was able to solidify victory in the first place was not because people really wanted Biden to become president, but because they really didn't want Trump to become president. He also had the aid of a media that covered for him. He also had the luxury of being able to hide in his basement during the pandemic. He doesn't have the luxury of being able to hide anymore. Now he has to get out on the campaign trail and prove that he has the mental acuity to do the job for another 4 years. He also has a 4-year record of terrible policies that he's going to have to defend in front of the American public. He's at a major disadvantage here, so it's only going to get worse.
This all started, if you look at his approval versus disapproval, his disapproval numbers topped his approval numbers, and he's had a negative deficit ever since the Afghanistan withdrawal. And it was because the American people saw how blithely this man will lie and how incompetently he will lead. And those numbers have never, ever recovered from that. And if you look back at what he did this year, the Gold Star family members, some of them were out in California at a Republican hearing. It was a forum that the Republicans had. And he was meeting with I think it was the Houston Astros at the White House. And at every turn, this man has turned his back on those Gold Star families. And remember, he also skipped the 9/11 memorials this year, and he was in Alaska.
Right, and the result is that every single one of us, all of America right now, feels less secure and less safe as a result of Biden's bungling leadership. You look at the world right now, you look at the many conflicts that are taking place in Ukraine, in Israel, in Afghanistan. The world is a much worse place because of Joe Biden's presidency, and Americans feel that. They feel less safe in their own homes. And so, of course, they're going to take it out on him in these negative approval ratings. And as you mentioned, I don't think that it's a coincidence that his numbers started to drop after the Afghanistan withdrawal, when he made clear that he was not going to make America's leadership on the world stage a priority.
Well, it's telling when Politico will come out and say, you know what, Joe Biden should step out of the race, and his poll numbers would go up. They are no right-wing rag. They are liberals over there, and it's going to be the question of 2024 whether other media types come out and say Joe should leave the stage and let someone else step in. That is yet to be seen. But I want to move to this because Biden is not the only one who's had a rough year. John Kirby's had to defend all of old Joe's asinine policy decisions, but it seems like he's run out of steam. Watch this.
Since we don't get to ask him ourselves, we would have last night maybe if he'd stuck around a little while. What would the president say is his foreign policy achievement of the year?
There's a lot that we've achieved in foreign policy, and Kareen's already made sure that that we're running late, and I don't want to belabor this. So this answer could go on for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, so Kaylee, that is pretty rough. I mean, John Kirby, I think he's dishonest with us, doesn't always tell us the truth, but he's pretty good at his job at spinning facts. When he can't come up with any policy win for the White House and basically says, KJP has already answered that question, we're running out of time, we got to go. Not really good for Joe Biden, especially when the world is burning.
No, and there's no amount of spin that can make up for Biden's foreign policy failures, and you can see that reflected in Kirby's comments. They just can't defend the indefensible. You look at the past year alone. We look at what happened in Israel. We look at what's still happening in Ukraine. Biden has single-handedly enriched our enemies on every single front. He's enriched Iran. He's enriched China. He continues to kowtow to them, even as America's own strength is declining here at home. These are serious challenges that, again, are impossible to defend from a policy perspective.
Kaylee, thank you so much for being here. Kaylee McGhee White, great to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kaylee.
In terms of John Kirby, one thing I will point out,